talking about future leaders, and this is the theme now for the afternoon. Because if there's one thing that is true about the legacy of a leader, is the future generations of leaders that this person helped create and build. And in Toastmasters, there's a youth leadership program. Together with us today, we have Lilian Shaftakola and Richa Tandon. Lilian not only is our product, well, Toastmasters is a product, our program quality director. She has a long involvement in youth leadership projects, and so does Richa, who also has professional experience in the field, as I understand. So this is the time for us to commit to the learning, to our learning for the future leaders as Toastmasters helps create. Let's welcome Richa and Lilian to the stage.
Thank you, Panos, for your excellent introduction. I just wanted to say that as the program quality director, I have been trying to encourage with my team this excellent initiative that was started quite a few years ago in certain countries. We've been running it in Cyprus for many years, and other countries have been doing so. And that's why we wanted to highlight it. And I've invited Toastmaster Richa here, who indeed has been very involved, to showcase some of what has been happening, not only in Cyprus, but all around our district, because we remain committed as a district to supporting this excellent program. And we hope to see many young leaders emerge from it. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, it is extremely satisfying and rewarding working with young people. So, Richa, I will now hand you the floor. You go for it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lilian. So, 14th of September, 2016, 2 years of Toastmaster experience, 10 years of teaching design skills to students of a graduation program, and 15 years of being married to my husband. I sure had learned some good communication skills. And I may not have gotten rid of those butterflies in my stomach that flutter every time there is an idea of public speaking, but I had sure learned how to make them fly in a pattern. But none of this seemed to help when I walked through the gates of the school and walked towards the classroom. As the bell rang, my heartbeat quickened, my palms were sweaty, and I grabbed my water bottle and took a sip of cold water to calm myself down. And then they started walking in, one after the other. Some gave me a smile, and others walked straight to the chair and sat down, completely ignoring me. I did a quick mental count. It was 12 of them, all in the age group of 14 to 17 years. I gathered all my strength and in my best Toastmasterly voice said, "Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Toastmasters Youth Leadership Program," and started clapping my hand. Now with mixed emotions, they all joined in. This, ladies and gentlemen, was how in September 2016, my journey as a YLP coordinator began. Now, before I tell any more of my story, let me ask you all, do you know what YLP is all about? Can I see a show of hands? All right, quite a few know about it. Some of you might not know so much about it. So let me tell you a bit very quickly. The Youth Leadership Program is an 8 to 10 unique workshop style program that gives the participants a chance to learn communication and leadership skills by participating in sessions that are very similar to our Toastmaster meetings. The aim of the program is to equip the teenagers, the youth, with tools that help them in three key aspects. First, overcome nervousness when speaking before an audience. Second, organize and present their ideas logically and convincingly. And third, offer advice or help to others improve without criticizing them. The program is free for all participating students, and the material is sponsored by Toastmaster clubs. And if you ask me, this is the best way for you to sharpen your Toastmaster skills. Really? How come, you may say so? I'm the coordinator, not the mentee. So to answer your curiosity, let me take you back to my story and share with you some of my interesting experiences and what did I learn from them. So I was talking about my first batch of youth leadership. After that initial introduction, spending the session, getting to know each other, I told them that in next session, they will have to speak for just say about 2 minutes about something that they were really passionate about, something they felt connected to, something that came from their heart. And in the next session, I asked them, so what are you going to talk about today? Someone said metaphysics. Another one said time traveling. And the one that I remember to this day said, I want to talk about terraforming. And they all had come very well prepared, written speeches. Never in my life have I been more thankful for the evaluation skills that I learned at Toastmasters than during that first year of YLP. Because I had to nudge them towards something more authentic, not to talk about these big topics, to talk about something that they really felt. 10 sessions later, on the day of the final presentation, the girl who started with metaphysics gave a speech about her bullying experience. The time traveler talked about what we can learn from past mistakes. And the boy who was going to speak about terraforming talked about how in the last year of his school has he started truly appreciating his school life and brought tears to the eyes of the headmaster. In my 5 years of YLP trainings, I have learned many things. To name a few, the importance of being prepared, how to listen patiently and attentively, how to accept an idea or opinion that is in contrast with my own views, how to use storytelling as a tool to bridge the gap of age and authority, and most important, how to make them used to the idea of seeing the other person's perspective. And if this list is not convincing enough for you, let me tell you how YLP helps you on your path to becoming a DTM. Did you know that being a YLP coordinator is an alternative of being a sponsor in the elective project? Even in your pathways, organizing a YLP can work well for projects like leading your team or manage projects successfully, the ones that occur in level 4 and 5. Having told you what it can do for you, let me quickly tell you about the YLP program run by Toastmasters Cyprus. The YLP in Cyprus did not start slowly. It started with a bang. 10 private schools in different cities of the island became part of the program in the very first year. And since then, on an average, 8 schools participate in our program every year. Each school has a batch of about 8 to 12 students and is led by a Toastmaster member who acts as the program coordinator. The program at school ends with a speech contest that is conducted in line with our international speech contest. And the winners go to an inter-school contest, which is almost like our area contest. In the passage of 5 years, YLP has become an integral part of the after-school activities at these private schools, and students look forward to it. And the best part of the program is when after their final speeches, children come to me with that smile, with that certificate and say, I'm not scared of public speaking anymore because I understand how the power of communication works. So dear Toastmasters, if you want to test your skills in front of the toughest audience, the teenagers, if you want to look at everything that you have learned so far with a new perspective, if you want to give back to the society by empowering the youth with communication skills, if you want to create the leaders of tomorrow today, or if you simply want that idea for a level 4 project, dive into the world of YLP, and let me assure you, it is going to be a very refreshing experience for you. At this point, may I request our Zoom master to share with us the video of one of our Toastmasters Cyprus YLP contest.
You and you and you and you.
Thank you, Zoom Master, for sharing with us that video. Now, it is time to look at the YLP with some international perspective within our district. I have a few YLP coordinators here with us, whom I would request to answer a few questions that I ask and share their experience. So Zoom Master, can we have the first YLP coordinator, Toastmaster Carla, spotlighted with me?
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Carla. So, Toastmaster Carla, I want to ask you, what inspired you to start the YLP project in your division, and how has your experience been so far?
Well, I have been inspired from what we are learning here in Toastmaster. We are here to learn to be a better speaker and a leader. But first of all, we are here to be aware of our skills about leader and speaker. And imagine what power of this awareness can unlock in the teenager. If you had acquired this awareness in your youth, what you have made different decision? To me, a lot of difference. And this is why this year I coordinate a project in Division A in Italy to disseminate the culture of a YLP program. We are in the middle of the project. We already had several presentations each club to let the member know about the existence of this project and of the benefit that they can bring of this experience. And we are collecting the first result. We have been contacted from some school to start a YLP program. I'm very happy for this. And not only because my project is near to be completed, but because this is a dream that become a reality. Let the young people be aware of their potential and how can improve it, thanks to YLP program.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carla, for sharing your experience with us. We have one more Toastmaster who has been actively involved with YLP. Zoom Master, can we spotlight Toastmaster Anastasia? Hi, Anastasia. So, I cannot hear you. Can you unmute yourself, please? No, not yet. Zoom Master, can you unmute Anastasia? I cannot hear you yet.
Perhaps you can proceed without Anastasia, that I see she has a technical problem.
Okay, so shall I ask the other YLP coordinators first, and then we'll come back to you, Anastasia. We have Toastmaster Elena. Zoom Master, can we? Okay, there we see Elena. So Toastmaster Elena is a YLP coordinator like me from Cyprus. And Toastmaster Elena, COVID has changed a lot of things in our world. How has YLP changed and adapted to this situation in the past 1.5 years?
Hello, Toastmaster Richa. I've been in the youth leadership program for 4 to 5 years. And indeed, COVID has been the case, I think, that proves the theory that the reason we work with young people is that because humanity is working in the direction where we need their help in solving problems and in going forward. So with tomorrow's leaders, and it has shown to us that although the experience of going to school and enjoying learning by doing with young people, it was a great experience and a lot of fun, and we learn a lot from them. when we went online, because everything went online, it was a unique experience that maybe we didn't have more experience than the young people had. And actually for me, I was reserved and a bit hesitant at the beginning. And soon after, I realized that these young people showed self-leadership and resilience and stepped forward and stepped up to share their ideas and to go on in front of cameras. And by the end of the 10 sessions, they transformed as speakers and as people, as young people. And I think I learned from them that things can be done in many different ways.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Elena. And it was Toastmaster Elena's idea this year to convert our contest, because we couldn't have a live contest, into an online gala event for all the students participating in the YLP this year, to share their speeches online and have an impromptu session, which worked out very well. So thank you, Toastmaster Elena. And we also have another Toastmaster, Toastmaster Christina. Can we spotlight Toastmaster Christina? Hi, Christina.
Hi, Richa. Nice to see you today.
Same here. So, Toastmaster Christina, I understand you have recently dipped your toes in the YLP waters as well. Can you share some of your challenges and experiences with us?
Right. So as we all are aware, COVID came and swept across all of Europe. I had initially wanted to do an in-person YLP with the International Geneva School. And so we had initial discussions, everything was set, flyers went out, dates were set for September. And then as the situation escalated, things changed with the school. We were not allowed on campus. And so we postponed it 3 times. And so we proposed to them, could we have it not in person, but as a virtual YLP? My team, we adjusted the program and said, let's do it as virtual. The school rejected it because they had to make changes on their side as well, which was a big change, not for this school, but for every school during COVID. And I guess it was too much pressure on the school to try and adjust every single program and incorporate Toastmasters into it as well. You know, Toastmasters is not taught like leadership, public communication and public speaking is not a subject that's taught regularly in schools. And I felt that it was important that these children still had access to it in a way. And so even though we proposed virtual YLP, they rejected it also. Recently in April last month, and also recently, I touched base with the school again and they said, yes, we have now adjusted our extracurricular activities and we would like Toastmasters every semester for the next year. You can start in September. So I'm gonna need a team for each semester. I'm gonna lead one team, I hope, and then the next should take on and then, you know, give everybody the opportunity to lead out in this program. Thank you, Rika.
Thank you, Christina. And I wish you all the best with the YLP journey. And now, can we have Toastmaster Anastasia back if she's ready? You need to unmute.
Let's proceed. Still, we have technical problem.
Okay, so probably we are going to listen to Toastmaster Anastasia towards the end. Talking of YLP and the changes and how it proceeds. For us in Cyprus, it was lucky because we had been doing it for so many years. Some of the schools were very quick to adapting to the online model of it. But what I want to highlight here is what goes beyond YLP. Our students form a very personal connection and see them put in practice creation that they have learned into the actual world. I was so happy and thrilled when this year, in the tough times of COVID, a batch of YLP students came together from different years and they organized the very first TEDx youth event in Cyprus. And because they were all YLP students, they were overwhelmed with the idea that they could put whatever they had learned into practice. So because of the exam schedules, they could not join us here in the meeting, but they have sent recorded messages for us. So Zoom Master, can we play the second video, which is from our YLP students who are also the TEDx organizers?
Hi, my name is Tanay, and I took part in YLP 3 years ago. Looking back at my YLP experience, two things stand out. Firstly, a very, very cringeworthy speech that my 15-year-old self gave. But secondly, and more importantly, YLP was the foundation in realizing the importance of communication in my everyday life. It's the thing that brought me into the world of public speaking, debate, and so much more. From the sandwich method to the 3 C's. I've learned tools and techniques that I use to this day. YLP is also what pushed me to volunteering at TEDx University of Nicosia, Cyprus's biggest TEDx event, and that eventually led me to founding my own TEDx event, TEDx Youth at Engomi. TEDx Youth at Engomi was something completely new to Cyprus. It was Cyprus's first TEDx Youth event. Actually creating the event had its ups and downs, but the one common denominator was we have to figure out how we can communicate these incredible people's ideas in an equally incredible way. And not to toot my own horn, but with my team of 6 high school students, I think we exceeded people's expectations. From giving feedback to my TEDx team to impromptu pep talks, I have YLP to thank for the incredible foundation it has created in my life.
Hi, I'm Salam, 17 years old, and I took the Youth Leadership Program around 3 years ago, and I'm here to tell you about my experience. Firstly, I want to show you something. This is one of the most important lessons I learned through Toastmasters. What is this, you might ask? It's how to write an essay. Well, a speech, but I use this method to write my essays. I learned through Toastmasters that by brain dumping all your thoughts onto paper, or a whiteboard in this case, you can transfer all your thoughts onto paper and actually build up from there and link your ideas in order to create a speech or an essay. Another important lesson Toastmasters has taught me is how to give feedback in a respectful manner. I remember the sandwich method and I still use it to this day whenever I give feedback to someone. Also, when we had our TEDx rehearsals, I remember spotting a few details like body language, how many ums the speakers would make while giving out their speech. Overall, I'm very happy I took this program. It was fun, it was educating, so beneficial, especially over the years I saw that, and to this day, I still reference a booklet I got 3 years ago through this program.
Hi, I'm Maria, and I took part in the Youth Leadership Program about 2 years ago, and was also part of the organizing committee for TEDx Youth at Engomi. So my experience with YLP was at the very least a very beneficial one. My speech examined racism and stereotypes, so I felt like YLP gave me the confidence as well as the means to express myself on an issue that for me was very taboo. So it allowed me to formulate my points in a way that it included people in the audience and their opinions and made me think about how they would see things. So I feel like it just gave me the motivation and the confidence to talk about things that I couldn't address or express, and it hugely linked to my experience with TEDx because I feel like those were the foundations that allowed me to express my point of view in the team. So I feel like the Youth Leadership Program certainly allowed me to come out of my shell.
Thank you, Zoom Master. So that was beyond YLP. what children can do once they learn this power of communication, the power of leadership. And just to tell you, this video has been created and edited by these very students, and it was their idea to tell me to subtitle it, because when you're sharing it on Zoom, there is a lag and the voice might break. So there's a lot that we can learn from YLP as well. Now, I am open to any questions that you have about YLP. But before that, one important question that I have in mind and I would like to ask to our district PQD, Toastmaster Lillian, how does the district support the YLP program at the club? Toastmaster Lillian, can you please answer that?
Thank you, Richa, for this question. As I mentioned before, I've always been a big fan of YLP. I participated in the early YLP program we had in Cyprus, and it was a wonderful experience just seeing those young people growing and learning. The videos you've watched today are typical of all the experiences we've had, and therefore it really is something that I feel needs to be spread out throughout the district. We've seen Italy is working on it. Greece is working on it. Unfortunately, Anastasia was unable to speak. I don't know if that has been solved.
Can you hear me? No.
Great. So maybe afterwards you can speak, Anastasia.
Sorry.
Tell us about your experience, because Greece has also been fundamental in it. Switzerland has started. So we want to continue with that. And we pledge as a district to support, to offer funds for the YLP. Any country that wants to start it, any club in any country, we know we have new countries joining. Next year, they will also be eligible for funds for support with YLP. Go for it, guys. Youth is our future, and it's really, really worth it. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lillian. And now can we have Anastasia sharing with us her experience of the YLP?
Thank you so much, Richa and Sabine, and for, I don't know what you have done with my microphone, and it worked. I would like to congratulate, first of all, Cyprus on the way they have been implementing this program, because I witnessed it in the division contests at some point, and I was, you can't even, I couldn't really believe in my eyes and everybody who was present, because there was a presentation by a little girl and she was stunning. What a result. And to tell you the truth, I've always loved this kind of using public speaking, and in Greece with this tradition of rhetoric, I have been in schools and I have been working with the students of all ages in debates and in impromptu speech, and there is a contest all around the country run by the Ministry of Education. But when I got to know Toastmasters and the program, I thought, why not? Why couldn't I have it in the public schools as well? And it worked miracles. I can tell you that. I haven't done it officially, but I just added it in my teaching lessons. And I can tell you that children proved to be much better than us. They immediately adopted this program. They ran the elections by themselves. They got their president and the vice president of education, etc. They seemed to be excellent evaluators. They evaluated and they gave feedback, constructive feedback, in a stunning way, in an awesome way. And they were so unexpectedly positive to something else that I was very, very surprised. There were cases of students who were very timid. And when they had speakers standing right there in front of the blackboard saying that they were talking honestly, although they were not perfect speakers, I could hear a lot of applause, and everybody, embraced all presentations, and they respected each other in a different way, and they became even better students. Whereas leadership meant nothing to them, this program has got so many values to give to young people. That's why I will try to contribute to the efforts to make this program be embedded in the official educational program. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you,
Back to
Toastmaster Anastasia. So I see the red light from the timer, but can we have a few quick questions? Are we allowed? Thank you so much. So anybody who has a question can please unmute yourself and ask, because I'm unable to follow the chat. And while you're thinking about your questions, there's one common question that I have been asked many times. How do you start the program at a school? Oh, we see Frank has a question. Frank, go ahead first.
But I can leave my question to what you just were about to say, Richard. Maybe you want to finish that first, and then
okay. So yes, how we do here in Cyprus is we try and approach the schools with an outline of the program, describing it, and the key selling point is telling them it is free. You can add it to your after-school activity. They're not going to charge you anything. And that kind of nudges them into listening more. And we were given this in the first year, like a trial run. Okay, let's see how you do it. And then the schools were hooked onto it. So what we have essentially done is find one person who is either a parent or in some way connected to the school to be our representative to the school management, because you already have a connection, a bond, and you approach to them, explain the program. Normally, I haven't had the experience of schools refusing outright to it. They might ask you some more details. They might take some more time to decide. But with a little bit of persuasion, the schools do give in and allow you to organize the program at the school. Frank, anything else you want to ask?
Yeah, thank you, Richard. First of all, congratulations on what you have achieved so far with YLP. It was also good to see familiar faces from Cyprus in the video you shared. My question here is a little bit, now let me tell it, it's a bit provoking here. The program itself, YLP program, is for youngsters from the age of 12 to 17 before they are eligible to become a real Toastmaster with the age of 18. I have seen advertisements for programs on Facebook, especially in Asian countries, that similar programs are starting for children at a very, very early age, and they put those children already into a competition mode. How do you see that? Because for me, children should be children, let them play before they become into specific competition mode. How do you see that, or what are your countermeasures to avoid such kind of competition at a very early age? How do you see that in relation to the YLP program from Toastmasters?
What YLP guides us is not to do a contest. The end, or like it doesn't say anything about the contest. The end of the program is the children standing up and speaking in front of an audience in any format that they want. It's up to them. So how we deal with this is at the start of the program, we ask, would you be interested in having a contest? Would you like to have a inter-school contest, or would you not rather have it and just have it as a display? What I have seen here is maybe it's because of the 5 years of contest being seen and witnessed by these kids. They are excited about the contest. But I have had a few give an entire speech, didn't be part of any kind of contest. So we improvised. We asked them to take up roles during the contest. We asked one kid in particular, I remember, he said, I don't want to give this speech in front of the entire audience. We had done it before in front of the class. And then we asked him to become the Toastmaster of the evening or the contest chair. And he was very comfortable with reading from his paper, the script standing behind the podium. So the whole idea is to make them confident in speaking in front of the public. The contest is not the core of it. It's just an extra add-on kind. So like this year and the year before, we avoided the contest in totality because kids were not interested in doing it in the online format. So it's like whatever the kids want, it's not a compulsory thing, the contest. Anybody else has any questions? You can unmute and ask. All right, another interesting question that always comes up is how much does it cost to the club to run the YLP program? And for that, I did some calculations a while ago. We have the YLP kit available, and we are talking about, say, a batch of 15 kids. So the program is going to cost the club somewhere from 40 to 45 euro, depending on how you plan to buy your kit. And another question that I saw in the chat was that how do we choose 12 to 15 kids when there is a batch of 30 kids? So this is not for the entire class. It is not a compulsory activity. So kids sign up for the YLP program as an after school activity. So normally we run the program if there is a batch of at least 8 kids, and we close the batch at 15 kids because that is a manageable number from our experience. And I see the red light again. The YouTube links you can find on Toastmaster Cyprus. If you go to Toastmaster Cyprus, you will find all the YouTube videos, and I'll post the links in the chat. Thank you so much. And I encourage you all to try coordinating a YLP at some point in your Toastmaster journey. Back to you, Toastmaster Panos.
Thank you, Richa. Was that a journey? Does the journey ever end when we're talking about the minds and souls and imaginations and creative faculties of the youth? Does this journey ever end? I wonder. So as I was listening to you and the discussion you had with your fellow coordinators, I was wondering, could perhaps the reward for a youth leadership program coordinator be the learning that we receive in exchange for the work we put in? I see Richa nodding, and Richa, you've experienced this reward, and today you have inspired us to go and claim this reward for ourselves, because serving the youth is its own reward. Let's congratulate Richa one more time. Richa and her team. Thank you. Thank you so much.